So I'm going to explain how to unhook and reattach your hedge cutter. First thing you want to do is put in your 2 transport pins to stop the head dropping when stored. One goes through that hole there and it's held on with an R clip on the back. And then the other is on your main arm, just behind these pipes in there, like so. And then is also held in with a R clip. So once those pins are in, the next step is to start your tractor up and lift up the hedge cutter just to take the weight off your stabilising chains. So now I've lifted the hedge cutter up, what's taken the weight off the stabilising chains. Now I'll drop down the transport legs. There's one here, there's one that side, and then there's another one at the front. Now they're all dropped to the lower position. I will unhook the stabilising chains. So I'll unwind the D shackle. You can leave it attached on the tractor end. Now your 2 stabilising chains are unhooked, you can lower the hedge cutter to the floor. Now the weight of the hedge cutter are on the transport legs. The next step is to unhook your top link. So what I'm doing now is just winding the slack off the top link until it goes free. The next step is to remove your PTO shaft. So I have already unhooked the 2 safety chains that attach around your tractor on your PTO shaft. So next I will put my hand in to the PTO shaft and push the spring-loaded pin in and then pull back the shaft. And then I will loosen my check chains either side. I will just loosen those off until there's play in the check chains. Now the check chains are loose, the next step is to remove your 2 lower link arms from the hedge cutter. Once your linch pin's removed, you'll be able to pull out your bottom pin, and the same the other side. So once all your 3-point linkage and your stabilising chains are undone, the next step is to take off the controls from the tractor and bring them to the hedge cutter. So when you've unhooked the controls from the tractor and all of your 3-point linkage is unhooked and your PTO, you are ready to drive away. So now I'm going to explain how you reattach your hedge cutter to your Solis tractor. The first step to do is to make sure that you've got your black stabilising bracket in the tractor top link end, like so, and that you've got your tractor top link in that slot there and your 2 safety chains there and there. Then you want to reverse your tractor carefully, close as you can to the hedge cutter. Then your next step is to put your 2 lower pins in that hold your lower link arms to the hedge cutter. The next step after your 2 lower link arms are attached is your PTO shaft. A little trick to get your PTO shaft in line is either have the tractor PTO into neutral if you've got a manual transmission. If it's a HST, put the PTO option into mid, and that will enable you to spin the PTO shaft freely to line up the splines. Once your PTO's clicked in, leave it to that stage for now. The next step is to attach your top link. Like so. Then the next stage is to lift the hedge cutter up and attach your 2 stabilising chains. Your stabilising chains are held on with a D shackle either end, and they just go through the pinhole at the bottom. So after your stabilising chains are attached, the next step is to lift up your transport legs. like so. After your stabilising chains are on, you can now lower the hedge cutter down all the way, and the weight will then be on your 2 stabilising chains. So now my 3-point linkage lever is all the way down, and the weight is now on these 2 chains. The next step is to attach your 2 PTO safety chains. You can loop these around anywhere. After they are attached, the next step is to angle your hedge cutter. It wants to be straight, and you do that by winding your top link in or out to level the hedge cutter. Once you are happy with the angle, wind the lock-in tab of your top link in, like so. Then, after you're happy with your angle, lock your top link off with the lock-in tab and tap it tight with a hammer, like so, and that will stop your top link vibrating loose. The next step is to tighten your check chains up to stop the hedge cutter swaying side to side. So tighten your check chains up like so. A little trick with your check chains to get them that little bit tighter, you can actually just wiggle the hedge cutter backwards and forwards a slight bit, and it will enable you just to get your check chains that little bit tighter. After they're tight, tighten your locking nut up with a 24mm spanner. That will stop your check chains vibrating loose when in operation. After all your stabilising chains and your 3-point linkage are attached to the tractor, you need to mount the controls. Once your controls are attached to your tractor, you are ready to use the hedge cutter. Just check your hydraulic oil level in the sight glass here, and your gearbox oil that is also in a sight glass just there. The only other thing you need to keep on top of maintenance is greasing all of the nipples on the hedge cutter.